Hello YouTube, I'm the Foam Witch, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this epic Demogorgon head from Stranger Things. If you like crafting content like this and haven't already subscribed to my channel, it would be awesome if you could think about doing that. Otherwise, let's do this. When I make templates for helmets and masks, I make them at 50% on this little miniature version of my head that I have, just to check all the shapes, and once I'm happy with it, it gets blown up to 100% on my computer, which gives the templates that you receive. The template for this mask is available for free, and the link is in the description of this video. Starting the build in the middle of the mask, this round section is cut out of 5mm foam. Most of this is made out of 5mm. Then moving on to these curved pieces, which will go above this, these two pieces get joined together and the bottom edge needs cutting with an outward bevel. When they get stuck to the round piece, it gives this angle like this. This middle section then got heated up with the heat gun, and I pressed it on this round thing that I have just to give it a little bit of a curve. This section then gets cut out, it's kind of like the chin area, and gets stuck to the bottom of the middle section. This small piece then gets cut out and stuck to the bottom of that. This kind of gives like a curved area, if like a Demogorgon had a chin. This part then gets cut out and this gets stuck to the right side of the mask, and that's if you're looking at it head on. There is also a similar shape on the template for the left side. This template did get a little bit chaotic when I was making it, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible by numbering all the pieces, so you join 1 to 1, 2 to 2, and so on. This piece then gets cut out and stuck to the right side. There is a similar piece for the left, I just forgot to film me putting that on. Sorry guys, I was making this in 4 days to get this video out on time. Moving on to this piece, and this gets stuck on the left in the area that you can see here. This then gets joined to the lower piece that was stuck on earlier, and should look something like this. The same then gets done for the right side, but this gets joined at the top in the middle along with the side. Once all those pieces are joined together, it gives the basic shape of the mask. If you have any questions or need any more help in relation to this build, just leave a comment and I will answer it as soon as I can. Now moving on to the tentacles, starting with number 1 that goes in the middle at the top. All 5 of these get made in the same way, joining 2 pieces together and then adding a section in the middle. The middle sections, one of them being shown here, are cut out of 3mm foam with an inward beveled edge. And once the middle piece is stuck to the 2 back parts, it gives a shape that looks like this. These then get stuck onto the base, but they don't get stuck directly to the holes on the base, they kind of get stuck around them. You will have to play about with this to find out where best they sit. The same then gets done for tentacle 2, which goes on the top left, tentacle 3, which goes on top right, tentacle 4, which goes bottom right, and tentacle 5, which goes bottom left. Once they are all stuck on, it should look a little something like this. Now moving on to make the back part of the mask. Starting with the 2 curved pieces, 1 and 2, which give the top, these get heated up with the heat gun and shaped into a curve, and the 2 darts on either side stuck together. These then get stuck together down the middle to give a shape that looks like this. Parts 3 and 4 then get cut out, and these are the bottom back plates. These get stuck to the bottom of the 2 curved pieces to give a full back piece, which then, unsurprisingly, gets stuck to the front piece. The back piece will probably overhang slightly, so you just need to trim away any excess. Once all of those pieces are stuck together, you then have a base for a Demogorgon mask. Just a quick one, according to my analytics, most people who watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel. If you enjoy the crafting content I create, if you could subscribe, that would be absolutely incredible. Thank you! To add a bit more shape, the tentacles then got heated up with the heat gun and the middle sections pressed in slightly to add more of a curve. I then used a Dremel to sand some of the edges. I didn't go too mad with this because the whole thing was going to be covered in foam clay. This was mainly just to shape the tips of the tentacles so they were a bit more rounded. And if you can say the words tips of the tentacles 5 times really fast, you don't get a prize, but you get my admiration. I then added some strips of foam to the bottom 2 tentacles just to add a bit more strength. Then it was time to start sculpting with the foam clay, and I brought this inside because my workshop was so cold. And here it's being gloriously modelled by my Billy the puppet. The whole base of the mask then got covered with this foam clay, and I started with the outer edges of the tentacles, which need to be a little bit raised. All of the materials in this video, including the EVA foam, the foam clay, the glue, the flexi paint, are all provided by the incredible Tigers supplies, so if you're looking for the best cosplay supplies around, please check them out because they are incredible. This is how it was looking once the edges had been covered in the foam clay. This was then also added in a circle around the centre part. I then went round and pinched the foam clay before it had a chance to dry, just to add a bit more texture and make it look a bit more organic. All of the rest of the blank EVA foam was then covered in the foam clay, sticking it on, just pressing it on in no real pattern, just to give it a bit of texture. The great thing about this mask is that it doesn't really have to be neat and tidy because it is a real kind of monster, so just whack that foam clay on in any old pattern. This is how it was looking once the front had been covered. I then went in and sculpted some, I guess you'd call them veins, on each of the tentacles, and I did 3 on each one. Next, it was time to move on to the teeth, and I'll be honest, this drove me a little bit insane. Each of the teeth that I added to this mask got hand sculpted out of the foam clay, and I decided to keep a tally each time that I added one to the mask. In the end, the total was 315 teeth. My good friend Jess gave me the idea of making this Demogorgon head to coincide with the release of the new series of Stranger Things, so I started building it like 4 days before that came out. However, now you can probably see why I didn't get it done for the release of the series, but a few days later isn't too bad. And here is how I sculpted each of the teeth. They're all in varying sizes, so I took a little bit of the foam clay, rubbed it together in my hands. Once it was warmed up, it then got sculpted into the shape I needed. They then got stuck on one by one, and then I took a sharp point to add some lines to add some texture to the larger teeth. This is how it looked once all of the middle teeth and the larger edge teeth had been added. You can add as many teeth as you want, it is completely up to you. I then added a load of little teeth to the middle of the tentacles on all 5 of them. The little dots you can see on each of the teeth was me just counting how many there were. And after so long, all of the teeth had finally been added. And this is how it was looking. Although it took a really long time, it does look epic, so it was worth it. The whole back of the mask then needed covering in the foam clay, again just adding this on in any random pattern and adding some texture. And once all of that foam clay had been added and it was fully dry, this is how the mask was looking, and it was ready to start painting. Because I didn't have time to paint this in the usual black flexi paint and then repaint it all, I used clear flexi paint this time, mixing the colours into it that I needed. This awesome flexi paint is again from the incredible Tigers supplies. I added in some grey airbrush paint, gave it a really good mix, and this was going to give the paint base for the back. This got brushed on by hand and I only used 1 layer. This is how it looked once all of the grey had been painted on. I then moved on to painting the front, and I added some red paint with a few drops of dark brown, again to the clear flexi paint. I have no idea what happened when I was brushing this on, but for some reason it was kind of clumping as I was brushing it. However, for this project, that really worked and it gave it a more kind of fleshy texture. If it was any other project, I think it would have had to go in the bin, but for this, it was a happy accident that really worked. And then, just as I thought I'd gotten over the teeth, I had to paint them all. Going over them with some shades of yellow, a lighter shade to start, then going over the top with a slightly darker shade. All 315 of them. And this is how it looked once all of the teeth had been painted and I needed a lie down. I then went to add some shading to the back. Watering down some pink paint, this got brushed onto the whole back area and most of the excess wiped away, just leaving it in the crevices. This is how it looked once the pink had been added. I then went in and did the exact same with a shade of brown. Once that had all dried, I then needed to bring the grey shade back out, so I just went back over it all with the grey paint, which got caught on all of the high spots. I then did this very sparingly with some white paint to give some very top highlights. Doing these washes with the paint gives it a more kind of natural, organic looking paint finish than it just being a flat grey. And my friends, once all of that paint was dried, the Demogorgon mask was complete. Considering how quickly I made this, I'm so thrilled with how it turned out. I might go back in at a later date and add some more kind of definition with some paints, but for now, I'm so happy with it. If you are still watching this video, I want to give you a massive, huge thank you. If you've enjoyed it, if you could give it a thumbs up like, that would be incredible. And like I've said through the video, if you like crafting content like this and haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you could do that now, it would be so appreciated. So that's the Stranger Things Demogorgon mask complete, and all I've got left to say is, I'll see you next time.